We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Infinite Gary. So the Oppo UDP-203's manual uses some interesting language. For example, they write that to ensure the best possible video and audio quality, you should feed the audio and video separately using the dual HDMI outputs of the player. They also write that you can take advantage of Oppo players' advanced digital to analog converter by using the 7.1 analog audio connections. So these words make it sound like feeding a single HDMI cable to your AV receiver and then outputting from the AV receiver to your display is the worst connection path. Is that their intent? No, that's not really their intent. What's their intent is here is, now this is the upgrade, the one with the upgraded audio section, right?
No, this is the 203, which is the Ultra HD Blu-ray player. Then the 205 has the upgraded analog audio section. So,
I mean, it's not really their intent here. I mean, you can do the audio decoding at your player, or you can do the audio decoding at your receiver, and they know that their audio decoding in their player is very good.
Sure.
So they're saying, do it that way. Why are they telling you to use two different HDMI outputs? I don't know.
Well, to me, that's a little bit of covering your bases, because people who listen to this podcast, myself and Tom, we might know that I have an AV receiver that is not HDCP 2.2 compatible, but it can decode Dolby True HD and DTS HD master audio. So I know that if I use the two HDMI connections, I can get the best quality audio, and then I can send HDCP 2.2 with 4K resolution and HDR and everything separately to my display. I might know that, but a ton of people aren't going to know those details that intimately. So Oppo's kind of covering their bases here, saying if you use the two HDMI outputs, you send audio straight to your AV receiver, you send video straight to your display, even if you don't know the capabilities of your display and your AV receiver,
if you just send to auto, you'll get the best of what they can accept. Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas if you know that your AV receiver has 18 gigabits of bandwidth, has HDCP 2.2, can pass through HDR10, can pass through Dolby Vision, if you know all those details, then you only need one HDMI cable. But Oppo's going, how many of our customers know all of those details, or can we tell them a connection path that is going to work every time, whether they know those details or not? That's my take on that.
Yeah. He asks, what happens to Atmos if you use the 7.1 analog audio connections? You lose
get it
completely. That's the whole thing. You have to send it digitally so that it can be decoded at the receiver, so the metadata can be read. If you send the 7.1 analog outputs, it's gone.
It's the same as if let's say you have an AV receiver. Let's say it's a 7.1 AV receiver.
Okay.
And you're playing a disc that has Atmos on it. Well, it's a 7.1 AV receiver that doesn't have Atmos, but it will still decode the Dolby True HD. The Atmos is a layer on top of a Dolby True HD 7.1 base layer. So the 7.1 Dolby True HD base layer is getting decoded, in this case, inside the Oppo, and then sent out as 7.1 analog audio. There's no Atmos information in there. That is gone. So it's the same as decoding the Dolby True HD base layer. In the case of DTS-X, it's the same as decoding the DTS HD base layer that's underneath. So you lose the immersive audio.
Yeah. He asks, can you still use Audyssey when using 7.1 analog audio inputs?
Nope.
I don't understand that answer, to be honest with you, because when it sets itself as multi-channel in, because you're doing the decoding, you're saying that Audyssey is not being applied to that?
If you're using the 7.1 analog inputs, there is no analog to digital conversion.
Oh, right. Okay, I'm thinking, yes.
So in order to use Audyssey, you would have to take the 7.1 analog audio coming out of the Oppo, You would have to convert that inside the AV receiver to digital, do all your bass management, Audyssey, if you want you to use your tone controls, any of that stuff. Then you would have to convert it back to analog again inside the AV receiver and then amplify it, which is a crazy thing to do. So what they say is, if you're using the 7.1 analog audio, we're assuming you did all the bass management, any EQ that you wanted to do outside of the AV receiver, and we're going to leave it alone. Essentially, it's just amplifying the signal. That's all it's doing to that. So they even say, it talks about Audyssey, and there's a little footnote that says Audyssey cannot be set when the input mode is 7.1 channel in, which refers to the analog 7.1.
Now, this is different, because that's just where I got confused. This is different than when you have a source that is decoding Dolby Digital or whatever it is for you, and then sending
and
it
outputting it via HDMI.
As long
PCM.
as it's going out digitally, it is still coming in as a digital signal. Therefore, bass management and Audyssey and everything can be applied. So it'll say, unlike my receiver, it says multi-channel input.
Multi-channel in, that's right.
Which is not analog, it's still digital. And
which
then
is not
all
7.1 analog in.
Yeah. Okay, so just so there's no confusion. Lastly, Gary says when he plays 2-channel, he's found that in order to get his subwoofer to play, he has to send it to LFE+Mains. For movies... Really? Oh, whatever. For movies, he has his subwoofer output set to LFE, and it seems to work just fine. But switching back and forth is a hassle, so if he leaves the subwoofer setting on LFE+Mains, would it do anything bad? What, if anything, would be different? So
there's a few reasons why he might be having to set it to LFE+Mains to get his subwoofer to play when he's listening to only.
Is it analog coming in? Is that? Because
no, even that shouldn't matter if it's just 2-channel analog, because that will get digitized. No, the most obvious one would be, are your front, left, and right speakers set too large? Because if they're set too large, this is what will happen.
Right.
Now, if that isn't the case and they're set to small, are you using the direct listening mode? Because if you're using the direct listening mode, this will happen.
Yeah.
If you're not using the direct listening mode...
or pure direct.
Let me think, is there any
pure direct, right?
Or pure direct, right? If you're not using any, no. If you're listening, the other one is, he has a Marantz AV receiver. It has that separate 2-channel speaker setting menu, and that. So let's say that when you're listening to surround sound, any of the surround sound listening modes, it set all your speakers to small. It set your subwoofer to LFE, and everything's working fine. They give you the option of a separate 2-channel only.
Right.
Settings, which activates when you use stereo, direct, or pure direct. And there you could have your front, left, right set to large, for all we know. Even though for surround sound they're set to small, they give you the option of setting it separately. So you need to check the settings, make sure that your front, left, right speakers are always set to small, whether it's surround sound or 2-channel stereo.
Right.
If they're set to small, and you use the stereo listening mode, and your subwoofer is set to LFE, then it should all work.
Yeah,
the point of the LFE+Mains is when your front, left, right speakers are set to large, so they're playing the full range signal from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, and you also want to duplicate some of that bass from your subwoofer. Then you set the subwoofer to LFE+Mains. You get then the option to set a crossover frequency for your front, left, right speakers. The front, left, right speakers are still playing full range, but now let's say you set that crossover to 80 hertz. Now your subwoofer is also playing everything from 80 hertz on down. So now you have 3 sources of bass all playing. That's what the LFE+Mains is for. It isn't really what you want. You want your front, left, right set to small, your subwoofer set to LFE, but then you do have to use the stereo listening mode.
Yeah, so that... He says, what, if anything, would be different if he sets it to LFE+Mains? Rob just described that. But basically, if your speakers can't play all the way down to 20 hertz and you have them set to large, you run the risk of either just adding distortion or bad stuff to your playback, or possibly damaging your speakers. So that's what. Would that do anything bad? Those are the bad things that can happen. Basically, you're asking your speakers to play something that they're really not meant to play. It doesn't make the bass in your room any more even. If anything, it makes it less. If they could play all the way down to 20 hertz. So, yeah, turn it off. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.